And then you can talk about the project and we can have a discussion.
Okay, sounds great. I also have plans that I can show if that
Sure.
would, I can just
Sure.
share my screen and
Sure. Why don't you go ahead?
okay, sounds good. Let me get. There we go. Great, yeah. So Greg, I could probably first talk a little bit about a claim first, just to introduce me, and then we can talk about the project about that.
That's good.
Okay, cool. So a claim is a real estate developer, multifamily developer that is located in Menlo Park, and so we really have a focus on multifamily development and some office development. It was started by Mark Johnson. I joined Mark. Mark's my brother. I joined Mark 12 years ago, and we've really had a focus since then on Peninsula and North Bay multifamily projects within transit-oriented corridors, and typically corridors that have some difficult entitlement work that needs to be done within those corridors, and so we've developed projects in Redwood City and Petaluma, and we have projects in Menlo Park and Cupertino, and so we really love to focus on multifamily projects along transit corridors like El Camino Real, and so this project fits really nicely with that strategy, and just the idea of kind of putting houses and homes near where people work is something that we're really passionate and we really believe in. And so this project really fits that, as Palo Alto, as you know, is a huge employment hub on the peninsula. And so we own, own the kind of what used to be known as the fish, we call it the fish market site, and so that's a site that's about an acre big, and then we are combining that site with the McDonald's site just to the north, and so that gets us just over 2 acres here on this site, and Stanford owns the McDonald's site, and so we've entered into a partnership with Stanford where we are kind of in a collaboration with Stanford where we're going to be developing the site, and Stanford owns the land, and so we are the leasee or the leaseor, and here with Stanford as a partial landowner.
Sure. Okay, makes sense.
So the project is use that in the background. So the project is 380 apartments.
But right now I just see your title slide. Is that what I should see?
Yeah, so I can.
Okay.
We can go to maybe this slide as
Sure.
well.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a project that's 7 stories. It's 5 stories. This, we could go here as well. It's 5 stories of type 3 wood frame construction over 2 stories of concrete, and that is all on top of 2 subgrade stories of parking, 2 levels of parking subgrade. And so we submitted our application about a year ago. We submitted our application and then got a completed pre-application in January. That was an approved pre-application, and then we submitted our formal application on June 6th for this project. And so we're excited about it because for a couple of reasons. One is just it really conforms to a lot of the capacity analyses that Stanford had done with the city for sites like this. and it makes a really important contribution to Palo Alto's kind of commitment to housing.
Sure.
And like I said earlier, it just puts a lot of housing near where jobs are. And so the idea of that is just to get people kind of out of their cars, walking, biking, taking the train to work rather than driving long distances into Palo Alto and kind of clogging up the streets.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so the architect on this project is Studio T Square, which is there's a fantastic architect out of Oakland, and we just have just a fantastic design team on this project. Let's see. Are there any kind of initial questions that you might have regarding?
No. Well, I guess the only thing is, have you done any neighborhood outreach?
So we have done some general outreach. We've been begun kind of reaching out to members of city council and been kind of learning and gathering information about the kind of the tone and tenor of the neighborhoods around. The nice thing about this project is that it doesn't back up to R1, and there's no R1 kind of directly across the street from it. So it backs up to the Stanford Research Park, and to the north, it's Palo Alto Square. So that's one of the things about this project that we also think is a really good kind of asset, is that it kind of fits within the context of the buildings there and puts density in a location where we believe that it should be. The Palo Alto Square has probably the two tallest buildings in Palo Alto are kind of right behind it. So I should also mention that the parking is all underground and the project's fully parked. So we're not skirting kind of any sort of parking requirements here. We feel like, although it's in a transit-oriented corridor, that we still need to be realistic and understand that people are going to be in their cars quite a bit.
So the first floor, what's on there?
So the first floor we have kind of a main lobby here in the corner, which then kind of flows into this leasing office here. If this is too small, maybe I can make it a little bit larger. And then flows into this co-working space where kind of members of the tenants in the project can come down and work here in a quiet area. Then we have a fitness center here. We have another resident lobby here for kind of move-ins and move-outs, just for them to kind of easily access an elevator here and this side of the project. We have a pool and spa, and also on the first floor we have this garage entrance that kind of takes you down underground to the parking lot underground. So that's kind of the first floor. So we don't contemplate any kind of retail in this spot. Just we just want to kind of focus on providing housing at this site, and I felt like retail really needs to be supported along Cal Ave and some of those really important retail nodes, and kind of along El Camino. We've just seen kind of a little bit of a pattern of retail struggling along El Camino that we felt like we wanted to just kind of support the retail on Cal Ave with all this housing close by.
What about restaurants?
No restaurants in this project.
I guess why not?
Oh, why not?
Because you're replacing two restaurants, right?
Yeah. So, well, I think that the restaurants kind of just like kind of merchandising retail work really well in like walkable kind of corridors like Cal Ave and downtown Palo Alto. And so, I think restaurants, unless you're, like the fish market with like on-grade parking, it's like really easily accessible. They can do well along El Camino Real, but like kind of once you put the parking underground, a lot of these restaurants like don't do so well along El Camino. And so the restaurants that do well are kind of within these pedestrian, really focused pedestrian retail centers like Cal Ave and downtown Los Altos or downtown Palo Alto.
Okay. How much above the FAR are you on this?
I actually don't know. Our FAR is around 4 on this project, so I actually don't know how much above the FAR.
Probably a good thing to get to know actually
Yeah.
on this project, because it's I assume your must be a pretty high FAR at this point, given
Yeah,
what you're building.
Yeah, I mean, the reason for the FAR at 4 is because we're proposing a financially feasible project. I mean, this project, is a project that can be built today, and what we see kind of up and down the peninsula, and particularly in Palo Alto, there are projects that just don't have the ability to be built. They just aren't. With multifamily housing, it's a very costly housing to build, especially with underground parking, and so the number of units that you need, you're kind of walking this very fine line when you build multifamily housing, and this is a project that we believe is financially feasible and then can be built, and so when we talk about kind of FAR, I mean, we're providing the units that we need to kind of get the lenders to provide us construction loans and take out loans on this kind of project.
So are these mainly like 1 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms, or what kind of size are they?
Yeah, so it's a mix. So the average size is about 810 square feet. It's a mix of studios. It's less than 10% studios, about 60% 1 bedrooms, and 30% 2 bedrooms. And so we're trying to hit a wide range of tenant here. You could have a couple with a child, or even 2 children in a unit. You could have 2 roommates sharing who are working in Palo Alto. You could have a student renting a studio, attending Stanford. So we're trying to kind of cast a wide net.
And so all these are rental?
These are all rental.
Okay. Can members of the public use the co-working space, or is it just for the people in the place?
It's just for the people in the project.
Okay. I think people are going to ask you, like, what is the public benefit, right? So you're probably going to, I don't know if you could talk to that.
Sure. I mean, I think to me, I mean, the public benefit is obvious, is that we're along the peninsula, there's just a dearth of housing up and down, and that this really we're able to put a lot of units near work and near transit. And this is a fantastic site for that will cut down on traffic all up and down El Camino Real, because you're getting people out of their cars and closer to where the employment centers are. So that's a public benefit, as well as all of the impact fees that these projects generate and send to the city. The other public benefit is the below market rate housing. Just going back to the impact fees. I mean, the impact fees were recently raised on this. The park fees have gone up to $40,000 a unit, which for 380 units is that like $6 million? It's a lot of towards parks, and then getting to the below market rate aspect of the project. The initial project was submitted as an SB 330 application with 10% below market rate. So that's 38 units of below market rate housing. And then we recently, on August 3rd, submitted a builder's remedy application. And that strategy was to really just make sure that our rights as a kind of financially feasible project were protected, and that we just know how tenuous these projects are financially, and we just wanted to make sure that we are protecting these amount of units as best we can. But what that did was it increased the below market rate up to 20%. So now we're talking about 76 units of below market rate housing from that recent builder's remedy application.
I think, to me, in terms of affordable units, I don't know if you follow me on council, but I'm a big advocate of smaller units because I think those are naturally more affordable, like studio size type of places. And that's like, those are naturally more affordable, right? Versus like 2 bedrooms. And so I kind of rather see you do more studios than the BMR units, because I think that only a handful of people are helped with BMR units, but if you make smaller studios, more people could be helped, right? If all these were small studios, because I mean, if you think about, first of all, if you go to other parts of the world, our studios are the sizes of, it's like family housing, right? This is the size. So I know that in our country we demand much bigger things, but in most other places it's actually pretty sizable already. And it's something that if you do more studios, there's actually more people could afford it, actually. So I for one rather see smaller, like fewer units, and less BMR, because I think smaller units actually, it's like built-in BMR in some ways.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
naturally affordable.
Yeah, because if you look at the average size of the American family, I'm not sure you follow the demographics, but it's getting smaller. Every year it's getting smaller. There's fewer kids, more, modern families, people are divorced and stuff like that, or not married, right? It's not like the old days in the 50s when people had 4 kids and stuff like that. And, they had, a lot of divorces, as you know. So, and at the same time, the average house size is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Which is a little bit ironic. While the family size is getting smaller, the housing are getting bigger, right? And then we wonder why housing is so expensive. Well, part of the reason is because housing is getting a lot bigger, right, and fancier for the same housing. So, I mean, maybe, instead of just helping a lucky few, maybe, going for smaller units, which are naturally more affordable, would be a better solution.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think the idea of like an 810 square foot unit as our average unit, I don't we don't picture that as a very large unit. I think it's kind of a nicely sized 1 bedroom. I think that I understand what you're saying. But don't you think that having a bunch of studios would also cut out, those families that maybe want to have a child and still can't afford to buy a home and want to still live in Palo Alto?
When my parents broke up, it's my sister, me, and my mom, right? And we were in a studio, so it's possible. Let's put it that way, right? And so, like, I don't know. I mean, you go to places like Hong Kong, and a family of 4 or more would be in a studio size place, right? So like 500 square feet, right, type of thing, and feel very. So I don't know. I think, especially if the area is, you have a co-working space, you have a gym, you have a bunch of other amenities in the thing. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you have to have such large units.
Okay. No, thanks for that feedback, Greg.
Yes. But okay, we're out of time here, but
Okay.
Gary, great chatting with you. Happy to chat with you more.
Okay.
Encourage you to talk with, people in the neighborhood, get kind of reactions there, and and good luck on this.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Greg. And I'll just say that we do plan to begin a really strong outreach program here to the community, and we're just getting started. As you know, these processes are really long.
Oh yeah.
And so we're just kind of getting going here, and excited to kind of get a lot of feedback from the community on this one.
Sure, of course. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you for your interest in investing in Palo Alto.
Okay, thanks, Greg.